Welcome back to Reddit Story Time. Today we have 4 incredible stories. Let's dive right in.
Story number 1. Am I the asshole for locking my dad out of my Switch 2 after he used a flash card? Story number 1. Am I the asshole for placing a console lock on my Switch 2 after my dad used a flash card on it? Our storyteller is 14 years old and they saved up for and bought a brand new Nintendo Switch 2 with their own money. They have taken immaculate care of it for an entire year. Then, a couple of months ago, their dad bought a cheap flash card from China. For anyone who does not know, a flash card is a device used to run pirated games on a console. And here is the critical detail. Nintendo does not mess around with this. If their systems detect a flash card, they permanently ban the console from online play. No warning, no second chance, just a bricked online experience forever. So what did Dad do? He plugged the flash card into his child's Switch 2, loaded up several pirated game icons, and actually clicked on one. A loading screen appeared. He eventually backed out and took the card out, but the damage could already have been done. Our storyteller panicked. The moment Dad left the room, they deleted every trace of the pirated icons from the cart, set a console lock on the system so Dad cannot access it without permission, and told him the flash cart is never allowed near the console again. It has been 2 months, and thankfully the console has not been banned. But things are tense. Dad feels locked out and disrespected. Here is the thing, though. This 14-year-old was protecting property that they bought with their own money from being permanently destroyed by someone who could not be bothered to understand the consequences. Nintendo bans are not reversible. If that console had been flagged, it would have been game over. Verdict. Not the asshole, not even close. When someone nearly destroys something you worked hard for through pure carelessness, you are 100% justified in locking them out.
And the verdict, not the asshole.
Story number 2. AITA for setting up a sprinkler to stop the neighbor's kids from throwing rocks at my beehives. Story number 2. AITA for setting up a sprinkler to stop my neighbor's kids from throwing rocks at my beehives. Our storyteller is a 34-year-old guy who keeps beehives in his backyard. He uses them to pollinate his garden and produce a bit of honey. Simple, wholesome hobby. But for months, his neighbor Dan's kids have been climbing the fence and throwing rocks and pine cones at the hives. Why? Because they think it is funny to watch the bees swarm. Our storyteller warned the kids multiple times. He explained that disturbing a hive makes the bees aggressive, and someone could get badly stung. He also spoke to Dan directly. Dan's response: "Kids will be kids. Classic." Well, the kids did not stop. In fact, they escalated. They knocked over an entire hive. Bees were lost, the hive was damaged, and our storyteller had to spend his weekend sealing holes and doing emergency repairs. That was the last straw. So he installed a motion-activated sprinkler along his side of the fence. The kind gardeners used to keep deer away. It only sprays when something crosses into his yard near the hives. A few days later, one of the kids climbed over to throw something else and got absolutely soaked. Dan lost his mind. He came over screaming that our storyteller had booby-trapped his children. He threatened to call the police. His wife started telling the other neighbors that our storyteller attacks children. And now, a couple of neighbors are giving him dirty looks. Here is the reality. It is water. It is on his property. It only activates when someone enters his yard. And the only reason it exists is because Dan's kids were destroying livestock after being told repeatedly to stop. Verdict, not the asshole. Dan had every opportunity to control his kids and chose to do nothing. A motion sprinkler is the most harmless possible consequence for repeated vandalism. If anything, Dan should be thanking this guy for not calling the police on his kids first.
And the verdict, not the asshole.
Story number 3. Am I the asshole for charging my brother rent after 2 months rent-free? Story number 3. Am I the asshole for charging my brother rent after letting him stay with me rent-free for 2 months? When the storyteller's brother Marcus lost his job, they did what family does. They said yes immediately, cleared out the spare room, and told him not to worry about rent for the first month. Solid sibling move. Month 2 rolls around. Still no job, which is understandable. Job hunting takes time, but here is what our storyteller started noticing. Marcus was not really trying, sleeping until noon, gaming all afternoon, sending out maybe 1 job application a week. Meanwhile, the grocery bill doubled, utilities went up, Wi-Fi usage tripled because of all the gaming. Marcus was not job hunting. He was on an all-expenses-paid vacation at his siblings' expense. So our storyteller did something reasonable. Starting month 3, they asked for $300 toward rent and utilities. That is way under market rate. It was not even about the money. It was about Marcus having some skin in the game. You would think this would be a wake-up call. Instead, Marcus got upset. He said he was being kicked while he was down. He pulled the family card, saying family should not charge family. And then he did what every freeloader does. He went to the parents. Now mom and dad are calling our storyteller asking why they cannot just be patient a little longer. They have become the villain in the family group chat. Here is the thing. 3 months of free housing, free food, free Wi-Fi, and free utilities while barely pretending to look for work is not a favor being returned. It is being taken advantage of. $300 is a fraction of what Marcus is actually costing. Verdict, not the asshole. You gave him 2 months of completely free support. Asking for a contribution after that is not cold. It is called boundaries. And the fact that Marcus's first response was to rally the family against you instead of actually looking for work tells you everything you need to know.
And the verdict, not the asshole. Story number 4. Am I the asshole for ignoring my brother's request to manage my brokerage account? Story number 4. Am I the asshole for ignoring my brother's request to manage my brokerage account? Our storyteller is a 39-year-old woman whose mother called her 10 times in one night asking for her brokerage account login information. Why? Because her 36-year-old brother Jack wants to manage her investments. Let's talk about Jack for a moment. Jack lives with their parents. He has not held a job since college. He claims he is working on a startup, but there is no evidence of one. He has unaddressed anger issues. In high school, he hit a classmate with a tennis racket. He admits he cannot control himself when he sees red. He has not spoken to their father in years despite living in the same house. A few months ago, Jack tried to drag our storyteller into a family argument about their dad being verbally abusive. She maintained neutrality because she was not there. Jack's response to her neutrality was to yell and curse at her. Then, as retaliation, he locked her out of a shared Amazon account that had her credit card attached and kicked her off a shared antivirus plan. Petty, controlling, and financially reckless all at once. So when their mother called 10 times asking for the brokerage login so Jack could manage the investments, our storyteller said absolutely not. She told her mother to stop seeing Jack as someone normal that she can cure. And every time these explosive exchanges happen, our storyteller loses sleep. Verdict, not the asshole. In fact, this might be the most obvious not the asshole of the week. Handing your brokerage account to an unemployed. Anger management case who already weaponized a shared Amazon account against you would be financial self-destruction. Protecting your assets from a family member who has demonstrated zero financial responsibility and a pattern of retaliatory behavior is not cold. It is basic self-preservation. The mother needs to hear this. Jack does not need an investment portfolio to manage. He needs professional help. And the verdict, not the asshole.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. See you next time.